Hello everyone, my name is Brendan and this is episode 2 of our series in which we will be discussing the CMMC. In this video, we will be discussing the relationship between the CMMC, DFARS, the FAR, and NIST Special Publication 800-171. So starting off, we have the Federal Acquisition Regulation, also known as the FAR. The FAR was established back in 1947 and is used as a set of rules governing the United States federal government's purchasing process. The largest and most known part of the FAR is Part 52. This part contains standard solicitation provisions and contract clauses. Solicitation provisions are just certification requirements, notices, and instructions directed at organizations that might be interested in competing for specific contracts. Part 52 of the FAR also contains Section 204-21, which is known as Basic Safeguarding of Covered Contractor Information Systems. This section of the FAR applies to all covered contractor information. And covered contractor information is any type of information system that is owned or operated by a contractor that processes, stores, or transmits federal contract information, which is abbreviated as FCI. FCI is information that is provided by or generated for the government under contract, and it's not intended for public release. Within the FAR Part 52 204-21, there are 15 basic safeguarding requirements and procedures to protect covered contractor information systems. These requirements range from limiting information system access to providing protection from malicious code. Another important part of this clause is that it actually does not relieve a contractor or a subcontractor from any other specific safeguarding requirements that may have been specified by other federal agencies relating to covered contractor information or other federal safeguarding requirements. And these other federal safeguarding requirements could be controlled unclassified information, which is CUI. Next, we have the Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation Supplement, which is known as DFARS. This is the Department of Defense, or DoD's FAR supplement, and it was published in December of 2015. The primary objective of the DoD's acquisition is to acquire quality supplies and services that satisfy their users' needs and their operational support at a fair and reasonable price. Within the DFARS clause, there's a set of cybersecurity requirements that the DoD contractors have to adhere to in order to maintain or obtain a new DoD contract. This requirement is known as Section 252.204-7012 of the DFARS, and it is titled Safeguarding Covered Defense Information and Cyber Incident Reporting. The objective of this clause was to protect CUI and the flow of CUI on the contract holder's information systems and networks. Within this clause, the contractors are required to provide adequate security on all covered contractor information systems. The DoD requires that the contractor's information system and networks implement the security requirements found within NIST Special Publication 800-171, which is titled Protecting Controlled Unclassified Information in Non-Federal Information Systems and Organizations. This publication by NIST was developed as a guidance for protecting the confidentiality of CUI when it resides on or if it flows through non-federal organizations' information systems. Within this special publication 800-171, there are actually 110 security controls that spread out through 14 different control families or domains. These domains range from access control to system and information integrity. The implementation of the security controls from NIST Special Publication 800-171 is recognized to be adequate security by the DoD. And it protects against the loss, the misuse, and the unauthorized use or modification of CUI. So on top of the security controls from NIST 800-171, organizations also need to be compliant with an additional requirements that are specific to DFARS. The main requirement is the cyber incident reporting requirement. This requirement in the clause states that the contractor, if they ever discover a cyber-related incident, The organization must conduct an investigation to determine the scope, the impact, and the results of the incident. The contractor must then submit a report of their findings to the DoD for their review. To become DFARS compliant in the past, all it took was for an organization to self-attest that they comply or will comply with the security controls and requirements found within the DFARS. There was no certification process for NIST 800-171 or DFARS. It was all based on the honor system. It didn't take the DoD long to realize that without a certification process, many organizations were performing self-assessments and were claiming to be DFARS compliant without fully understanding the security controls and how to safeguard CUI within their information systems and networks. This leads us to the creation of the CMMC. The CMMC was released back on January 31st of 2020. The intent of this new framework was to incorporate a certification process into DFARS and use it as a requirement for contract award within the DoD. So a lot like DFARS, the purpose of the CMMC is to enhance the protection of CUI and FCI within the DoD supply chain. As I mentioned in a previous video, the CMMC model measures cybersecurity maturity with 5 different levels. Each of these levels consists of a set of processes and security practices. There are a total of 171 security practices throughout 17 different control families. This is 3 more control families than what is found in NIST 800-171. Additionally, there are also 5 different processes found within the CMMC model that need to be followed. So at level 1 of the CMMC, this only addresses the security practices that can be found in FAR Clause Part 52.204-21. Whereas level 3 includes all of the security practices from NIST 800-171, as well as 20 other security practices that are specific to CMMC. Then at level 4 and level 5, these levels start to incorporate a subset of practices from the draft NIST Special Publication 800-171B, plus an additional practices that are related to CMMC specifically. You should also be aware that in order to fully comply with CMMC, you must demonstrate the use of both the processes and the implementation of the security practices for a specific CMMC level, as well as the preceding lower levels in order to be compliant with the maturity level and achieve that certification. Another notable difference between the CMMC and DFARS is that the CMMC requires assessments to be performed by only third-party assessors. Organizations that are seeking contracts are still responsible for implementing all of the cybersecurity requirements associated with the CMMC. However, there is no more self-assessments like there was with DFARS. All assessments must be performed by a CMMC AB approved assessor, and then that assessor's assessment will be sent to the CMMC AB for review before a certification is awarded to the organization. So that is it for this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. If you have not seen episode 1 of this series yet, I highly recommend that you check out that video so you have a better understanding of the CMMC. Please keep an eye out for future videos where we will continue to discuss the CMMC in its entirety. Thank you. Have a great day.